بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. All the praise and all the glory is due to Allah, and I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and that Muhammad is his last prophet and messenger. May the blessings and peace of Allah be upon our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his family, his companions, and those who followed his path up to the day of judgment. My dear respected brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back to our second session of today on how to develop an ideal Muslim character. And in today's session we are talking about the spouse, husband and wife. How each party should deal the other Islamically. There are basic foundations that I will try to elaborate, and as I mentioned to you that we try to make them very simple and practical too. These basic points, they are actually foundations. We call them foundations of how to treat each other, how to deal with each other. Marriage as an institution for Muslims is more than having someone to call a husband or a wife. When the Quran talked about this type of relationship, it was not normal. It was not in its normal standard language. The Quran spoke about this type of relationship as an ayah of Allah. It's an ayah of Allah, which is an incredible divine sign from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why? Because the process itself is amazing. How to maintain this balance and continuity of this human being, of this human race, by creating a man and creating his wife from him, and then they become husband and wife, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala builds this relationship on peace and tranquility. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَنْ خَلَقَ لَكُم مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا Sakina. And actually Sakina, or tranquility, is one of the incredible blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When a person has this peace of mind, this is what you can call, what can any person need, what does a person need other than this tranquility and peace? This is an ultimate goal of all people. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talked about Sakina as a base for increasing Iman. هو الذي أنزل السكينة في قلوب المؤمنين ليزدادوا إيمانا مع إيمانهم. So tranquility is a sign of a sound mentality, a sound personality. Tranquility and peace is a characteristic of a sound person. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talked about this type of relationship as a sign of His creation. It is a sign of His creation. So marriage in Islam is not just a man having a wife and a wife having a husband and that's it. It's a contract, or as some people they think that it is. No, it is beyond this concept. Two becomes one. Two become one. This is the concept of marriage. And of His signs is that He created for you from yourselves mates, that you may find tranquility in them, and He placed between you affection and mercy. Indeed, in that are signs for a people who give thought. So the main purpose, the Quran mentioned this concept of tranquility to pay our attention that the main goal of marriage is to have this type of tranquility. The question is raised, how are some Muslim couples finding this tranquility in their marriages, while many others seem to be having a miserable time? This is a real fact. Many people, they have miserable time in their relationships, and I think that the cause of their problems is their families. They don't have that peace at home. What are those couples whose eyes exclude deep love and commitment, doing right in their relationships? The answer on this question, I try to conclude it in 10 basic things. Those 10 basic tips, I think, if we have them, I'm quite sure that we have a successful family. There are 10 basic elements that if any family, any husband and wife who have them, they are happy. And those who miss those or any of those 10 things, I think they are not happy. They have troubles. They have problems. They have to solve those problems. Or they may, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned that they find other ways of reconciling their situation. The first one is love each other for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This word is easy to repeat, but it's difficult to comprehend and to implement and to make it real. What does it mean first? To love your wife, and a wife loves a husband for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number one, it means that you make the love and obedience of Allah the basis and focus of your relationship with someone else. Love and obedience. Of whom? Of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we have one basic goal. So each one of us try to go to this goal. So I'm sure if you are pleasing Allah and she is pleasing Allah, you love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as the main goal, I think you will return back to a main point, a common point by which you can agree and you will refer, and easily you can actually reconcile any problems that may happen. Loving each other for the sake of Allah means that you love someone so much that you want your love for them to last beyond this life. It's not only temporal. It will go beyond this life to the hereafter. So it is the type of the contract of marriage is that it is eternal. It's not, if it is temporal, Islam prohibited the temporal marriage, mut'a marriage. Because it's something for just a reason, a temporal reason, and then everybody goes. No. As a condition for the validity of the contract of marriage, that should be eternal. And here, it should go beyond this life to go in the hereafter, that she will be your wife even in the Jannah, inshallah. Loving somebody for the sake of Allah means to love him or her purely because of how much they remind you of Allah and help you get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This concept is very important. So it requires a list of a lot of things, including sincere advice, sincere love, that when you see your husband doesn't pray, so you are worried from inside. When you see your wife doesn't regularly pray or she does something haram, no, you are worried about it. Yes, you love to have this relationship, but your love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the basis of your relationship. It doesn't mean that you will make troubles with her and she makes troubles with you. No, you are worried about this person because you need this one to be to have an ideal relationship with his Lord, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this type of loving her and him for the sake of Allah requires that you do your best to get this person or to help this person to draw himself closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to make his duties, to go regularly to the masjid, to make prayers, to do charity, to be good to his parents, to do all those things, and the same for the wife. So this is the meaning of how to love, very simple, how to love somebody for the sake of Allah. Expectations. We need to widen the concept of ibadat in our minds. Ibadat, my brothers and sisters, is not to pray by day and night, is not to have a beard in front of people, is not to recite so much Quran only, is not to just fast regularly, is not to be a devoted servant of Allah only. No, ibadat is so spacious. It includes your good treatment to your wife and your good treatment to your husband. Ibadat includes when you go for shopping and you pick up something in the suitcase and you have the intention, you put it in front of your eyes and you say, this is sadaqah. It doesn't mean that your family are beggars. No, this is sadaqah. I do it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm feeding my family. I'm benefiting my family. I take the risk of going to the mall and I'm walking on my feet, I'm carrying it, I'm doing all this for my family because I'm expecting a great reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I transfer a habit into an act of worship. We need to widen this because many sisters, they spend nights making qiyamul layl, but they don't speak properly to their husbands. We have brothers who attend jama'ah in the first line, in the first row, but they are rude, they are oppressive, violent with their husbands. It is irrelevant. This is ibadah also. This is a part of ibadah. It's a complete way of life, Islam. Nothing is placed on the scale that is heavier than good character. The Prophet ﷺ said, ما من شيء أثقل في ميزان العبد من حسن الخلق. The Prophet ﷺ said, indeed the person with good character will have attained the rank of the person fasting and praying. You can imagine, subhanallah. Your spouse has loved you for Allah's sake every time they do things. Number one, this is very important. That's why we refer to a delimiter, to a parameter. So stop every time your husband or your wife stopped you from harboring suspicious or ill will about your boss or competitor or any other annoying person in your life. She loves you for the sake of Allah. She stopped you from backbiting your friend or your colleagues or your in-laws. She loves you for the sake of Allah and you love her for the sake of Allah. She or he helped you be more kind and gentle in your speech and manners to helpers, waiters, laborers, siblings, elders, and children. She definitely loves you for the sake of Allah. She or you helped her to fulfill people's trusts by encouraging you to get to work on time and to do best at your job, to pay off your debts, to keep people's secrets. She definitely loves you for the sake of Allah. You definitely love her if you help her to be more honest with yourself and with others. Both of you love each other for the sake of Allah. When you help, you forgive someone and overlook their faults. When you help, become more generous and less extravagant. Help you recognize and overcome the weakness on yourself, on your inner self. All those signs that your wife definitely loves you. And these are signs, my sister, that your husband loves you for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because many people, they are angry when they receive a nasiha, when they receive somebody to correct them. No. In all of the above and so many other times that go unnoticed, committed Muslim spouses constantly help each other get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is a sign that each party loves the other for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, devotedly from their own hearts. And this is the meaning of you love each other for the sake of Allah. It's very important. This is the first step. The first point which prove that this marriage is successful or this family is happy, is that they are grateful for each other. They are grateful to each other. And this is very important. This is killing. Truly, this is killing in most families. When the husband looks at her, she does nothing. And she looks at him that he does nothing to the family. And when consequently the children will have the same attitude towards the father, and the children will have the same attitude towards the mother. Why? If there is one fundamental need that exists in every single human relationship, concentrate on this point. If there is one fundamental need that exists in any single human relationship, it is the need to feel relevant and appreciated. This is very important. To appreciate others. How do we become ungrateful? At the beginning, as you see this scenario, at the beginning of our marriages, when you are newly married, every single thing your spouse does for you feels so special. At times goes by, your husband